All right, ladies and gentlemen, if his phone works and Zoom works, welcome Johnny Reinhard. Hey, Johnny,
Hello there.
up there. How you doing?
Hi. I hope it's okay if I don't wear a mask.
Yeah, as long as you're alone, brother. Yeah, I got you a little view of the class here. Maybe I can move it around a little bit.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Why don't we start with you? So you can say your name and tell him your instrument so he has an idea.
All right. Well, hi. My primary instrument is bass trombone. And one thing I was wondering is with your eighth octave overtone series, how did you deal with the Pythagorean comma, or did you even have to deal with it during that?
You said Pythagorean comma?
Yes, the diatonic comma.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the overtone series, the way I used it. So the way I used it, there were no commas. The harmonics just happened to be 128 P's in a pod, and the P's happened to be spaced or measured very specifically, with the largest space in the beginning and the smallest space at the end, and all the other P's proportional. That would be the eighth octave of A that I would use as my fundamental, just to have the most communication with the most instruments.
Hi, I'm a music theory major, but organ is my primary instrument. And I guess I would ask, since I'm a music theory major, what are there any equivalents of sort of modern music theory that are sort of happening in the microtonal scene? I mean, because you have one thing I really like about current tonal music is the prolongational structures or the key signatures or the hierarchy of pitches. And I was wondering, has anyone sort of developed any equivalents to that in the microtonal realm?
Well, I would think that the tonal part of microtonal encapsulates everything you just said, except maybe a little bit I couldn't quite make out, but I think I get the sense of. It's still very much tonal, right? Until you decide to be atonal. And microtonal has nothing to do with atonal.
Okay, so there wouldn't be a distinct microtonal music theory in any way.
Well, there is, but I would say microtonal in the sense of close examination of tonal.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Hello. I play violin. I was kind of waiting to be inspired and ask a question. I don't have one prepared, but what inspires you to do what you do? I know there's like a whole realm in microtonality, like you can go to infinity and beyond. So like why do you like what draws you to it, I suppose?
Well, somebody has to bring it to your attention,
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to me in high school.
Okay.
Just, several different people were already interested in it. And they were interested in it just in terms of quarter tones. Uh-huh. And I was very interested in playing solo bassoon music. Mm-hmm. So, they would write for me. Some would write solos, some would write duets, and they would throw in a couple of quarter tones. Now, on the violin, you're dealing with the difference between the sharp and the flat, really. But if you're going to do that at all, if you're going to think microtonally at all. But the quarter tones, sort of like just in the middle, right? And you can kind of almost measure it, if not by feel, by eye. Well, you can't do that on a bassoon.
Right.
So it brought like a couple of years, I think, of a kind of anxiety of not knowing where the middle was. There were no machines. There was no teacher to talk to. Mm-hmm. Right? There was nobody around me that knew better, except by reputation that I didn't have a chance to speak to directly. And so how was I going to find that quarter tone? And I figured out a way to do it on my own.
Which was?
I would surround it with the semitone.
Okay.
Get myself very secure with where the semitone was. And then I would drop the pitch in the middle. I'd start at the top note, drop the note in the middle and go to the bottom. And I could tell if it was closer to the top or closer to the bottom. And when it was no longer closer, it was the middle.
Gotcha.
And that was what made me realize it's that feeling of security that you know what you're doing. That's so critical in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Working with the microtones, right? But then after that, it's sort of like, I happen to like sushi.
Oh,
right? And sushi's got a lot of flavors.
Uh-huh.
And I like the fact that, a nigiri sushi is a mix of a lot of different fish. I even have one or two I don't care for. But the ones I like, when I get a chance to eat them, some of them are so rare you can't get them anymore. Like giant clam, maguro.
Ooh.
Once you've eaten giant clam, there's no substitution. No other clam will do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel about the 43/32 perfect fourth.
Gotcha.
It's the 43rd harmonic in the overtone series. And I could substitute the equal tempered fourth or even the just fourth, which is like supposed to be 2 cents flatter than equal temperament. I actually can hear 1 cent. And I imagine I learned how to do that.
Yeah.
So the real answer to your question is, these are like tasty things that once you've heard them and you love them, why would you want to ignore them and make believe that they don't exist?
That makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Hi. I'm a composer and I play the flute and the piano. And I guess my question sort of in the same vein. But what are like the benefits of composing using like microtonality and altered tuning versus just using the 12-tone system?
Well, I can give us a lot of answers, right? Depending if I want to be funny, sarcastic. What are the benefits? What's the benefit of eating a delicious cake? You could say a lot is bad about it. It'll make you heavy. It's got too much sugar. Doesn't have anything valuable in it, except maybe the chocolate to make you feel better for a moment. But there's no downside to microtones at all. There's absolutely no negatives. And frankly, if musicians knew what was in between, then what they're actually trying to etch would make more sense. Like one of the points that's really critical is while not everyone hears the same way, not everybody can hear the smallest intervals, and certainly they can't hear the larger intervals offset by the smallest intervals. And of course, 12 equal is a learned thing too. I mean, it's not natural. You don't have 12 fingers. It's not natural. And you have to basically learn it. The major third in equal temperament has nothing to do with the harmonic series, unless you want to say it's 3 cents flat of the 161st harmonic. That's the only acceptable answer I know. Right? It cannot be, in my book, it cannot be tempered 14 cents from the 5th harmonic. I don't believe tempering is 14 cents wide. I don't believe it can do that much. I think tempering is a slight stretching, maybe a few cents one way or the other. I think that's more of social construct. Do you guys know what I mean by that?
Yes.
Sure.
Because I find a lot of musicians do not.
I got a good
Right?
class.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I have a good class.
I see. Let's do that. Yes, your professor and I have talked about this several times, actually. And I'm planning a 1.5 hour dedicated discussion with 5 philosophical musicians on the negative impact of social constructs on microtonality. Because, you know, we have our own Santa Clauses. You know, we have to, like, I mean, can I ask you guys as a group to answer a question?
Yes.
And you know, it might be a trick question. You have to risk that. But of all the 11 different notes in the octave, which of course means 8, which interval, other than the octave itself, which we're not counting, is the closest to being a harmonic?
Yeah. Remember?
Is it the
Any,
fifth?
any, what was that? The 5th?
Yeah.
So you guys are taking the 5th?
I don't know, maybe you could convince us otherwise.
All right, so 701.95, etc., right? Cents. Well, actually, the tritone is actually better. It's within 1 cent, and it's the 181st harmonic. So before you ask, yeah, but you can't hear that high, I'm going to counter what you already do, because you already hear the tritone. It's already part of music. You've already learned it. So it's not a question of whether you can learn it. You've already learned it. And now I'm telling you it is. Now, I don't know if you think being a harmonic has anything to do with being consonant. I actually thought it did. So I've been finding ways that the tritone is not a dissonance.
Consonants and dissonance are perception in the end to a listener.
Right. And also social construct.
Right.
If I tell you, if I wince, Michael Vick and I have a friend who made a video where he winces when he plays a harmonic that he doesn't care for. But he doesn't care for it for intellectual reasons, not really because of what he hears. So that's, you know, a phenomenon, a modern phenomenon. Any other thoughts or questions?
Did you have any questions for him about like playing microtones? I know you wrote a lot about what you did the other night, but
Yeah, so as a bass trombonist, one of the things we were looking at in this class was basically experimenting with not only the instruments in here, but however you wanted to experiment with microtonality. And one of the things I wanted to do was look at my trombone microtonally. And I was wondering if there's just like any general advice you have about playing the instrument microtonally, or what to do
Well,
then.
the best advice I can give is as a composer.
Mhm.
So I've written several pieces for bass trombone. Do you know Dave Taylor?
I do not believe so, no.
So Dave Taylor's sort of got the big reputation as a bass trombonist in the New York area. Without telling you too much about him on this phone call, you should. It's a very simple name. Look him up on Google. You know, find out what he does. And this guy, I can just put. You know, I could tell all of you. I use a notation of just a basic quarter tone flat, quarter tone sharp, and maybe a 3/4 tone sharp. But then that's it. Everything else is with a sense deviation, either plus or minus, above the note head. So they stay kind of in the same level. And so the bass trombonist can say, okay, I'm going to get a number, and this would be true for violin as well. I'm going to get a number that's going to be, and flute, that's going to be between 1 and 59. There won't be any other numbers. And as long as you can navigate from 1 to 59, you know, logarithmically, right, on a slide, you can find whatever you need. And Dave Taylor can just play anything. So I have 3 solos for him. I have a piece featuring bass trombone, wind quintet, and percussion. I've jammed with him. I mean, he used to play with Duke Ellington. He used to. He's a very interesting bass trombonist with a big following. So I think that's going to help you. And look at the music written would be another answer to the question. But frankly, like the violin, it's visually measurable on some level. You'll modulate by harmonic. But otherwise, you got a nice path. And it's pretty much laid out. Flute with Robert Dick. You got the flute player in the group. You guys know Robert Dick?
Not.
No?
Oh.
All right, same thing. He's probably even bigger in the world, though Dave is big. I mean, I get calls from Russia about Dave, but Robert Dick is a superstar. A lot of what as contemporary flute is from him. I learned how to circular breathe from him, but that's just that's common actually as a technique. He doesn't really make tunings. He finds out what the flute can do and then uses it. And then with timing multiphonics, he can add 3, 4, 5 lines, not only with his voice, which he's got also this glissando bass flute with open tone holes, and the glissando mouthpiece allows him, I think, I can't be sure, at least 30 cents of vibrato. By just sliding his head back and forth, sort of like a shakuhachi style. For the organist in the group, have you worked with Werkmeister III tuning?
I have
on
not.
organ?
I have
Have
not.
not?
My teacher is fond of it.
Your teacher is doing what?
My teacher is fond of it, and I've heard a couple of recordings in it. It sounds really cool.
What's your teacher's name?
Dr. Charles Tompkins.
Is that who I met, Michael?
A few people couldn't make it. He has dark hair and glasses. Kind of.
All right, so the only reason I mention that is because that means there's another professor who knows who he is. So, okay, so Verkmeister III is what I think Bach used. And there are recordings, and you can hear a different dimension to Bach. It's also true for Buxtehude, and even probably more important. When Buxtehude is played in Verkmeister III, is done in, what's his name? Schoof. His name is Schoof, Shoof, from Lubeck. Incredible recordings of Buxtehude and Bach in Werkmeister III. And the Chromatic Fantasy, of course, with the word chromatic in the title, probably is the most representative of the tuning by Bach. So those are some directions for organ. Even though it's not easy to just say, okay, we're going to tune this organ up. Any other instruments I missed?
So I've realized that I didn't say what instrument. So I'm primarily a vocalist, and then I occasionally play piano, somewhat horribly. But as a vocalist, I feel like you probably have more flexibility for microtones, but how exactly do you start with microtones as a vocalist?
Well, one thing I love to, hello? Oh, here we are. One thing I want to share is some current thought I've been having recently about singers. Up till now, fairly recently, I've been disappointed that, in my 128 tuning, without perfect pitch, it's really hard to follow for a singer. With the theremin in a piece, I was able to get the theremin player to just listen to what the other instruments are doing correctly, and then pick notes that you hear from them as your own, and it worked. But it's an odd practice. I in a quartet, one of my first 128 pieces, I have the 4 musicians who mainly improvise in 128 stop on a chord of my direction because I'm playing, and then vocalize the actual pitches that they're playing as a harmony. And then I give poetry to intone on those same pitches. So the chord sustains, and you get so close to the beauty that singers could bring to it. Except, without perfect pitch, there's not a real easy way. And even that's not easy. So it made me realize that, once upon a time, of course, singers had a very bad reputation and weren't called even musicians. So I was just thinking, I'm sure you've heard that, right? That nasty rumor.
Maybe.
And maybe a little. But that changed. And I'm wondering if it didn't change absolutely in proportion, pardon the pun, with equal temperament. Because only when it's equal temperament can you then logarithmically split up the octave into 6 different ways. And so no longer was the singer helpless to a continuo, to some, matching of pitch, as opposed to within their own head. And by the way, it's a big part of microtonality is, you can produce it, you can listen to it, it's what you're able to hear, but it's also what you're able to imagine and even feel. So there's lots, and they can happen simultaneously. I'm starting to, notice that there are lots of categories here, right? So I'm wondering if equal temperament didn't actually make the singer a full musician. And, that puts the singer in a very interesting place in terms of the future. So it's a tough question that I don't really know the answer to. On some level, it's going to just take the individuals who figure out for themselves how to get around whatever obstacles that they sense. Which is, I think, the kind of heroes that have made microtonality successful, all around the world. There's so many examples of it. So some of the absolute best musicians are the ones that are microtonal, because it gives a different virtuosity to the playing, certainly on the trombone, the flute, and the violin, right? It also improves your listening. So it helps all your intonation, your relationships, what you can do in improv, if it doesn't bring you to improv, something that's probably missing in a lot of classical institutions. And third, actually, I don't think this is a small thing. I think it's a big thing. Is your color, your timbre, the varieties of the color and timbre. I mean, this is your soul. This is the soul the jazz player gets from years of paying dues, I think they would call it. Right? So, it's the distillery of everything you put into it becomes your sound, which, I don't think people talk about that. You could tell me, you're the next generation, but they used to talk about, getting your sound a lot, when I was younger. And I think now, the older ones just take it for granted. I mean, Dave Taylor is definitely known for his sound. Right. So Robert Dick probably is known for his chameleon sound. The fact that he doesn't have one sound. You could think of actors like that. Those who are able to do different voices. Those versus the character actor that can't get rid of the character they're known for. Right. So, as a bassoon player, I chose my instrument because it's known for the character being different between notes. While the most famous orchestral instrument for the bassoon, called the heckle, equalizes it so that the notes sound like they're more from the same instrument. They don't make as much differentiation, which is great for an orchestra and poor for a soloist. So I hope I've gotten you thinking about a lot of different things, and you're welcome to, if you have another thought later, you can always get it to your teacher to let me know. Otherwise, I'll just talk and talk, right?
Well, can you say any comments on the archive that you brought to Furman?
Well, The archive is a double archive. One is the Microtonal Festival, the AFMM, and the other is my own personal one, which is, different materials. Not everything I bought was for the festival, it's for me. And this collection is something I can't hold on to anymore as I got older. And I wanted to have legs. And the archivist at Furman, Jeffrey McCullough, is just wonderful for understanding the potential of what this is. And if not for the pandemic, it would have been rolled out already. So, its real future is still waiting. I understand the summer is going to be the main time to, pull it all together. Recently, I used it to get the parts back and updated onto the computer of the Universe Symphony of Charles Ives for a performance in Cologne, Germany. It would be the first European performance of this Ives piece that I happen to be the realizer of. And it got canceled because of the pandemic. But not before we were ready, and now they've scheduled it for May 8th of next year. Let's see. We'll see if it happens. And of course, you guys know, I put together a whole university as a virtual Microtonal University to offset the pandemic. So, we'll see when the masks come off. It's really hard to play some instruments with masks. And, I understand that the choir is the AK-47 right now. So, we're still in strange waters, but I feel like technology is just at the place it needs to be to pull together an international microtonal community, which seems quite large because they're not able to be in a single geographical place. But they can. Not everybody can be together because we still have 24 hours in the day. So we still have Asia and Oceania at a different time zone. And so we have something special for them. They have their own special Sundays, which some people here on this side can see on Saturday night. Very complex when you have to use time zones. But that's the new reality of the smaller world participating simultaneously into something like this. So, I'm pretty positive. You guys might be thinking of what are the negatives I'm going to have to, go through? What hurdles are there? Will I have to explain things to people that they don't understand? Yes. Will I have to try to handle that people can't hear what you hear? Yes. Will I have to find things on my instrument or other people's instruments that no one's looked for before? Yes. And this is all part of the fun. But the other thing to say is most of the hard work's really been done, but you have to uncover it. And you're in a good place to find it. So I wish you luck, and hopefully it's not over here. Things go on, huh? So enjoy. And look, you can even think of 12-tone equal temperament as microtonal. The only reason it's not microtonal is that it came over from Europe, during the age of colonialism. And without getting any more dangerous than that, microtonal is everything else. And so obviously it includes 12-tone equal 2. That major third of 400 cents, which has nothing to do with anything else, is in fact a microtone in that sense. It's only not a microtone as a social construct in Western music. And cross-culturally, I don't think that's good enough. So there you have it. Microtonality is just focusing on the other stuff. Okay?
Johnny, I think you gave them a decent amount of information for just sitting on the sofa.
Right. If I left anything out, fill it in.
All right. Well, we
Okay.
appreciate you coming, man.
Thank
Pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.